Welcome to Fancy Lady Talks with Marissa Boyce and Rosie Betts.
Hi.
Hello. We are back for talk 2 on trauma bonds, and today we are hitting up the 5 signs that you, my friend, are in a trauma bond.
Before we get started, just make sure if you like this video, if you like what we're saying, just hit subscribe, click the like button, and then we can keep making videos for you.
Totally. And we'd love to have you see our videos every week, and please comment. We're happy to hear from you, and we've got tons of stuff going on. So, get involved with the community. There's a beautiful community forming as we speak.
This is true. So we wanted to talk about trauma bonds in maybe a different context than you've heard about them.
Yeah.
A lot is being spoken about with trauma bonds in the context of like a narcissistically abusive relationship. But we want to talk about them in like everyday context, everyday trauma bonds.
Everyday trauma bonds. Just plain dysfunctional trauma bonds. Not abusive. We're not going all the way there. Just dysfunctional like most of us get into.
So, I mean, if you've been in a bunch of relationships and you notice like they keep going wrong in the same way, this might be some good information for you.
Well, and I think that pretty much you can watch just about any rom-com movie and you can see a trauma bond forming right there.
You sure can.
And we are going to give you those 5 tips as to, and then you can go back and watch your rom-coms and be like, oh my goodness, all of these are there.
You can point them out and identify them.
Yeah. So these are your 5 tips. Next week, we're going to talk about healing these trauma bonds, how you can heal in a relationship, or what you're going to do to heal so that you're no longer attracted to this type of trauma bond.
That's right.
So let's get started, Marissa.
Woo. So yeah, we wanted to start with the first one, which I think is the one that really gets you in these in the first place. It's the most exciting part.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It is the chemistry.
Oh, love it. Love it so much.
Right. So, I mean, this could be with a friend. This could be with someone you're dating. But there's this intense attraction to someone else that seems a little bit like, whoa, what is this? This seems so powerful.
If you are saying things like, we must be soulmates.
This is a twin flame.
This is a twin flame. Have I known you in a past life?
Oh, God. Oh, my God. The last person I was dating said that to me within like one day.
Yeah. All those things. And not to say, you know what, we're pretty woo people, so we don't disbelieve some of that shit. But chances are, if all of that's coming up in the first 24 hours, then you, are, my friend, are in a trauma bond.
So the difference between perhaps normal attraction and a chemistry like leading to a trauma bond attraction, what can you say about that?
So I would say in a normal attraction, you are building up step by step. And maybe you have a nice first initial, like you just look at them and you feel attracted and they feel that way too. But you're not willing to sell your firstborn child to see them again. Whereas in a trauma bond, you have this initial huge attraction. It feels bigger than the both of you. You're automatically, I would say, right from the get-go, acting impulsively with this person. Like I think about my last relationship. I'm going to get a little bit personal here. And you know what? Neither of us knew. And we did have a strong attraction to each other and many other things that were compatible. But when I look back, I'm like, oh hell, we were in a trauma bond. We kissed in the street for like an hour, right? That like within hours of meeting each other. You know, we were in bed together on our actual first date. And like things were very, and not that that's a bad thing. You know, I am totally about, you know, being an ethical slut. I have no problem with that. But it was the heightened feeling where he and I were both acting in ways that were impulsive. We were not taking any time to actually see whether we were compatible.
Right. So this strong chemistry with no checking in for compatibility is definitely the first indicator of a trauma bond. So what I've been doing is I've been very wary of these kinds of feelings. Like if someone comes into my life and I feel this way off the bat, whereas before I would, woo, what's this shiny thing, you know? Now I move back and I say, what's happening here, you know?
Yeah. And it is a very different feeling. It's not as heady of a feeling.
No.
It's not as heady when you're gently, slowly discovering somebody, but it's a deeper, richer feeling, right? When you start to learn about who that person is, and your attraction is building because you are compatible. Your attraction is building because of the way that they treat you and the way that you're interacting, as opposed to this chemical rush that leads you down a path that quickly gets you to the number 2 red flag of trauma bonds,
which is the feeling of anxiety.
Yes.
So now, this is where we get fooled. We think it's excitement. We think it's, we can't wait to see this person. We're feeling, maybe we can't even sleep. Yes. I mean, this is the thing where people are like, you're in love. You can't sleep and you can't eat.
You can't eat. Nope. You're just in a trauma bond,
You're in a trauma
guys.
bond.
But it's true, right? I remember that. I remember just like looking at the time, waiting, like, when can I see him? When can we be together next? Right? Do. You're feeling your heart is racing all the time. You're obsessing about them, perhaps.
God. Yeah.
Or at least, thinking about them a lot more. They're taking up more headspace than they should.
Right, and the anxiety may make you do things like be in constant communication with them, always checking your phone, like being distracted, thinking about them. And so I'm calling it anxiety. You might think it's I'm falling in love, but in reality, the anxiety, it also has to do with this walking on eggshells feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Where you don't really know, like, what's going to happen next? What is this person really like? I mean, that's why. We don't even know who this person is, and we're selling our firstborn child to them.
We're doing anything we need to do in order to see them, be with them, have them like us, all those things, which I think also leads beautifully into number 3.
Right.
Which is suddenly our boundaries get a bit loosey-goosey.
That's right. And
things that we have held dear as values, we start to be flexible about because maybe that's not their value and we want to fit with them. And we are willing to suddenly shift our values. And that's where I was saying selling your firstborn child. Maybe you're not going to sell your firstborn child, but maybe you're going to do something that's against your value system and doesn't sit well with you. Maybe you're going to allow them to do things that usually you would have boundaries around. Or if they push those boundaries, you're going to discount it because you so want to be with them, or you so want this relationship, this fledgling relationship, to work.
Right. And I mean, I call that painting the red flags green, right? Oh, there's a red flag. Paint it green. Quickly paint it green.
Yeah.
And that is, that's not even conscious a lot of the time. Sometimes when I was in these things, and my friend Lucy calls them a codependent blackout. Sometimes when I was in these things, I wouldn't even recognize that it was a red flag because I just wanted so badly to be in this thing with this person.
Totally. I called it being flexible.
I'm just laid back.
I'm just trying to be flexible for my partner because that's what you're supposed to do. And also, truly, that is what I thought I was supposed to do. I thought I was supposed to be flexible. That's what everybody said.
That's true. That is what people say.
That's what people say. And what we don't realize is, of course, there's a level of flexibility in partnerships. Of course, you're going to have to make some changes. But the flexibility should not be around your values or your boundaries.
That's right. And I think for me, how it showed up was I wanted to be that cool girlfriend, the one that, like, everything is fine with me and I'm just the cool, sexy girlfriend,
Yep.
Until I wasn't.
Right? Until you're flipping the table because your boundaries have been pushed and pushed and pushed. You've been so flexible beyond the realm of imagining. No longer are you living within your value system.
That's right.
And then you're the fucking crazy one.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a good indicator of being, stepping into a trauma bond is you're wondering, why am I acting this way? So, a good example might be it's really important for you to meet deadlines or to get your work done or to see your friends on a regular basis. Then all of a sudden you're not seeing your friends. You're not following your deadlines. You're slipping. All your regular responsibilities are kind of going by the wayside.
Totally. Or you have a very healthy lifestyle.
Right.
And you believe in having a healthy lifestyle. It looks like eating well, and maybe,
Right.
you know, you're not into substances, and you're going to be going to bed at a certain time, and suddenly all of that slips with a partner. Or you have a partner who is not into any of that, and you're allowing that into your life, even if you're not partaking, which doesn't feel comfortable.
Definitely
right?
not.
Which is just not part of who you are in the world.
This is very true.
This is so true. So something to watch. And then we get on to trauma bond flag number 4.
Okay, this one's interesting. The intermittent reinforcement.
Yes.
So this one you can feel happening throughout, and it might, like, I think it contributes to the anxiety and the eggshell walking.
Totally.
Is one person pulling away and one person coming towards. So the withdraw, pursue, or the anxious avoidant. But there's always this feeling of like unease, like somebody's gonna give you a lot of love and a lot of affection, but then all of a sudden they're out of there, they're gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, what happened?
Well, and you may actually play the dance between the two of you. It might be that one of you is avoidant at one point in time, the other one's anxious, and then you flip.
Yeah.
Right? It can be both ways. And we're not saying, I just wanted to clarify, we're not saying that there's one healthy person in a relationship and one shitty person.
No.
We are saying there are two people who are entering into this relationship, both with trauma, doing the best they can, and following into this unhealthy pattern.
Thanks for clarifying that, right?
Yeah, which is the differentiation between this type of trauma bond and a trauma bond when you're with somebody who is abusive.
That's right.
Right? Then it's a different situation. But for this type, it's two people with trauma, and you start to fall into this, and you're both like foggy and swimming through it and don't know exactly what's happening and playing these weird roles that you're like, that's not me. Right? I don't want to withdraw. I just want to be straightforward. But yeah, I feel like I have to withdraw now because I feel like now that's my part to play.
Actually, that's a good point. Is like, even I noticed when I was in one of these, now all of a sudden I'm playing a game. Like, oh, I'm not going to text them. They didn't text me. Whereas, before I'm really straight up with my communication. And so I'm wondering, why am I acting outside of my integrity? Totally. I think that's a good indicator if you're acting outside of your own integrity.
Yeah, and just playing games in general is, you're in, I would say, definitely a trauma bond, certainly a dysfunctional relationship if you feel like you have to play games or if you feel like games are being played with you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the intermittent reinforcement is definitely, I wanted to also mention with intermittent reinforcement is the brain stuff that's going on with this. So this is what keeps us in there, is the hook of the dopamine hit when we're back together with someone and everything feels amazing. We get those dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline hits. Yeah. And then there's also the drug hit of the pulling away, right? So we need the coming back together to soothe the pulling away, so it becomes this really sort of exhausting back and forth all the time.
Well, and this chemical hit is really part of the whole process. So this happens instantaneously when you have that first rush of chemistry is you're getting this big dump of dopamine and you're hooked. So what's happening in our brain is like we're taking cocaine.
It's true.
When we meet this person for the first time, we get this big dump. We're like completely euphoric and we want to relive that feeling again and again. And then we have this anxiety about, how do we make this work? Can I get this feeling again? And then where our boundaries are getting blurred because it's like, I want to have this feeling, and everything in your body is working towards you getting this hormonal release again, right? That's and intermittent or this push-pull dynamic is also, again, giving you that hit, which leads to our final red flag, which is withdrawal.
Withdrawal. I mean, and this is what keeps us going back. So, and we also know that we're in one of these when we know the relationship isn't healthy, we know something's off, we're like, oh, why do I keep interacting with this person? A lot of this has to do with the feeling we get when we've withdrawn, which is almost like a crash,
Yeah.
And we feel down. Like, even you hear about people who are like love sick, they've gotten broken up with or dumped and they can't get out of bed. They can't eat for days, like okay, sure, that might happen, but with a trauma bond, like, this is intense. Like, and then it's also this intense craving to get them back or speak to them or connect with them somehow, even though you know it's not healthy.
Totally. It is. So I was saying to Marissa, in my last relationship, I remember, going away. I went for a trip early on in our relationship, and I just had to talk to him every single day. Like, there was just no way that I could have a day without speaking with him or being connected to him, which is just so not me.
No, not at all.
Right? I'm a really independent person. I'm really happy to be on my own. On this trip, I was actually with a friend. We were having a great time. But that shows the deep craving for that connection when you're in a trauma bond. So there you go. Those are 5 big red flags. Take a look. I would say write those suckers down if you're dating right now. And also investigate when you've experienced things like that. It's worth looking at. Now, sometimes it's hard for us to look at this because we think then we failed, or, oh, we're saying that relationship wasn't valid or it was shitty. We're not saying that. We're talking about just dysfunction that happens in a relationship. Many, if not most, relationships have some level of dysfunction. So we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because maybe there were many functional things in the relationship and healthy things. Maybe it grew into deep connection and it grew into love. Or maybe you're in this relationship right now and you're thinking, well, do I have to leave? Like, there's lots of good here. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about healing the patterns within yourself and whether you can actually heal this in a relationship you're already in.
Definitely. And then also what it feels like to be in a healthy situation, and even in a healed situation. And just there's no shame in just get rid of the shame. There's no shame. We're all doing this. We've been sold this idea as what love is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but what we're saying is you can do things differently.
You can do things differently. There is a healthier way to do things. You can still have extreme passion without the trauma bond. But like I said, it has a deepness and a richness to it because it's built on compatibility. I can't say that word.
And secure attachment.
Right? And respect and being able to be your authentic self with your boundaries, with your values.
Imagine
that.
And I mean, in reality, this is what we're striving for. These are the things that are going to last.
Totally. Not only, well, and also, you know what, you can make trauma bonds last. I've made them last a long, long time.
That's true.
But they're going to last in a way that is going to be healthy for you, and that it's going to lead you to expansion, rather than you having to fight upstream to just keep this relationship
and
going.
then spend thousands of dollars on therapy afterwards.
Exactly.
I mean, imagine having a relationship where you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money going to counseling. Although it's good for me, but a bunch of money spent on counseling to deal with this trauma bond.
Put Marissa out of business, my friends.
Please.
Then she just has to find another job and do more burlesque or something else with me. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
Actually, there's lots of other dysfunction that she can counsel. So
definitely,
in this realm, you can put her out of business by getting healthy, learning healthy skills.
Healthy attachments, sexy,
super sexy. Right? People who are healing themselves, super sexy. Oh, hell yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yep.
See us next week for part 3.